Well, good afternoon, everybody. Today is Saturday, April 29th, 2023. It is kind of a rainy day here in Ottumwa today. And actually, we are going to miss our first train. Well, that's unfortunate.
South. I'm ready. CP 8159 or 51 South or 8951 South. Porting clear track warrant 5018-5018 at your time over. CP 8951 South. Porting clear track warrant 5018 to 1541-1541 MKR. Is that correct? Correct. CP 8951 South. Port clear track warrant 5018 at 1541 1541 MJR. Copy or acknowledged by Hartman. Over. That's correct. Alrighty, all correct. 260 out. No worries.
Well, sadly, it was not in this place.
8951 South, yard limits or 1 mile board at Ottumwa. Next restriction, yard limits Ottumwa, proceeding pool 6.27, 6.28. A speed that allows us to stop within half the range of vision, 260 out.
Now, what you're hearing there in the radio right now is CPKC train 260, which is literally coming into Ottumwa even as we speak right now. I knew it was on the way, but I did not realize they were already in CTC, so they did not give any warning whatsoever that they were coming down the hill. Last I knew, they were stopped at 297, which is about 3 miles up the track. So they're coming into town now, so hopefully they've got a relief crew, so they'll be able to leave later on. We'll be able to see them later on. But yeah, our first train is a miss, unfortunately. But they are going to stop here in Ottumwa, so hopefully they get a relief crew pretty quick, and we might be able to get them leaving once they get their new crew and they're on their way. So anyways, this is Bobby Harvey. Welcome to another live stream. As you can tell, it is rainy. We're here at McLean Street waiting for our trains, and like I just said, CPKC train 260 is in town. It's just pulling in right now, actually. The last I knew, they were at milepost 297, which is about 3 or 4 miles away from where we are right now. Of course, we're looking at BNSF's Laredo Subdivision right now. The CP is just right down the tracks from where we're sitting, right where the crossing box is for this crossing, pretty much just right down there. Well, you know what? Let's just go ahead and watch the tail end of this train go through, and then we'll come back. There are at least this train and another BNSF train on my radar right now. This train that's coming into the yard right now, as well as a westbound BNSF sweet feed train. But that's the only 2 trains that I know of for now. There could be more. As we turn right here, we can see some of Ottumwa's finest residents, namely the Canada geese. They're all over the place. Once we get up here to the crossing, we'll go ahead and level the camera. Well, for all of you joining the live stream right now, welcome. We've got a couple trains in the area. Our first one's coming into town right now. Kind of got a jump on me, so I didn't realize they were quite this far yet. But regardless, here they are. and we'll get to see the last bit of them go through. And then hopefully when they get their new crew in the yard, hopefully the new crew is there and ready so that this train will leave shortly after it gets in. So this is CPKC train 260. We're going to watch the tail end of it go through here. And while they're coming in, we'll go ahead and turn off the car so there's no vibrations there, and kind of turn the camera so we'll just watch the train go through. Of course, we're going to need wipers here, so I might have to turn on the car again anyways. Okay, we're gonna get the camera off of the little car mount right now so we can, oops, get kind of a better view of this train as it goes into the yard.
Reports, north siding switch, Ottumwa switch, line lock checks in reverse position. Over. Stop, your large switch, please. Line lock check, reverse part mount.
So this is CPKC train 260. It got into town a little before I thought it would. They're at milepost 297 holding for, I think there was a train in the yard that was doing some work that had to clear up before this train could come in. And so they held this train up at 297 and then brought it into town. And I guess because of what's coming on the BNSF, I just assumed that BNSF train was going to get priority over this one and that it would come through first and then this one, but it's not the case. So this is the last little bit of 260, and we can hope that they get a relief crew and head out of town later so we'll be able to see the whole train. But it's a start. Got a long string of what appears to be brand new auto racks. See if I can read the date on any of these cars. These are brand new. I believe March of 2023 is when these cars were built. They are brand new. As you can see, you can tell because there's no graffiti on them whatsoever.
Yeah, I just called him. He just looked it up. And he was just from Mount Pleasant. But he didn't talk to him personally. He doesn't come to see me either. One thing he was tracking earlier. I don't know, sure wasn't the right one.
That is the end. CPKC 260. Heading into the yard for a new crew. We can hope that they get going pretty soon here. All right, putting the camera back on the car mount. We're gonna get out of here and go back to the BNSF so we can see the first, hopefully the first movement on BNSF for today. And hopefully we can get the whole train of that one a little later on. So welcome to the live stream, everybody. We are in Ottumwa right now. It is rainy. Probably, well, definitely the first less than favorable weather day that I've been out here live streaming. So, but even though the rain kind of poses a challenge for photography, we're going to make the most of it. And once we get into a decent photography position here, I will not be filming out of the car windshield. So, got an umbrella, I've got the tripod, I've got my new tripod mount that I'm going to be using. So I'll be able to get a little better video of the trains as they go by. Now, just for the sake of time, because I'm pretty sure I do not have very much time, we are going to film this next upcoming train at Clay Street instead of McLean Street. This is the Clay Street crossing. There's still not a clear signal indication for BNSF. Actually, I lied. Main 1 has a clear. So the sweet feed train must have crossed over somewhere along the way, in between Mount Pleasant and Fairfield. So we're gonna get out, we're gonna get the tripod ready, and we're gonna head on out and get this train. All right, go ahead and step out of the car here really quick and we'll get going. Bring the umbrella, that's a must for this day. Get the camera off of there. Get it in the mount. Oh. And it takes just a little longer to get it in this mount because it is actually a screw mount instead of a quick release like my other one. But the video itself should be a lot better because it's going to be on a more sturdy tripod. So here we go. Umbrella in hand. Off to get this train. This is the Clay Street crossing. And we're going to go over here. Hopefully most of the rain will be to our back. It's thanks for the question, Kirk. It is it's a decent rain. It's not a light rain by any means. Just kind of a spitting mist. Okay, now this might be a little tricky. I have to set the umbrella down, unfortunately, and raise up the tripod. Might be a little jerky while I get this thing up. Okay, get it leveled out here. Here we go. So as you can see, this is my tripod that I use for my full-fledged video productions with my actual video camera. And as you can definitely tell, it is a lot more sturdy than the other tripod that I have been using. That was really like a combination like selfie stick tripod, so it was very small and flimsy. So the slightest bit of wind or anything would have some significant wobble in the video. So I bought a new tripod mount for the iPhone, so it's able to clip right to this tripod. And pretty much this is the same way you would see a video filmed with my actual video camera. Much more steady, sturdy presentation. So right now we're waiting for this westbound BNSF train, which is probably not very far out, if not in Ottumwa already, because it went through Mount Pleasant at, well, it was probably about 2:30, like 2:37, somewhere around there. And the reason it's so late in a way, it takes about an hour for freight trains to get between Mount Pleasant and here. probably the reason it's waiting, or probably the reason it's taking so long, is because it had to wait on that CP train. So usually when there's some activity going on at the Diamond, which is right behind us, the westbound trains will hold at Iowa Avenue, which is the furthest east crossing here in Ottumwa. And that way, the freight trains are not blocking any crossings in town. There are 7 crossings on BNSF's Ottumwa subdivision in the city of Ottumwa. From east to west, it's Iowa Avenue, then Vine Street, Green Street, Market Street, Gateway Drive, McLean Street, and the crossing that we're nearest to is Clay Street. So there's 7 crossings here in Ottumwa. Now, when they did the quiet zone a few years ago, there was talk of actually closing some of those crossings, but they didn't. A lot of quiet zone projects will actually involve them closing crossings that aren't as used. Okay, Kirk is asking the question, how many crossings are there on Canadian Pacific Kansas City in Ottumwa? I'll have to count. Starting from north to south, we have, let's see, now in the actual city limits of Ottumwa, we have West Rochester Street is the first crossing. And then after that is, I'm pretty sure it's Caldwell Street. Then West 2nd Street. Gateway Drive on the Canadian Pacific, which is actually the crossing that we just went to. And Quincy Avenue. Yeah, A-Train just chimed in that 5 crossings, that's what I counted. And that's in the actual Ottumwa city limits. Now, there are a few others on the edge of the city limits. 120th Avenue, which is a crossing we visited in one of my first live streams, which is outside of town a little ways to the north. And that is at milepost 297, where the CP train was waiting earlier today, the one we just saw. And then outside of town to the west, which is actually Railroad South from here, is 163rd Avenue, which is right on the edge of the city limits on the south end of the CPKC yard, right by that rocket fuel gas station that I talked about, which is where I used to go quite a bit to wait for southbound CP trains. And then there's also another crossing further west or railroad south on the CP outside of Ottumwa, and that's at milepost 305. Which is one of my favorite crossings and a lot of other people's favorite crossings of getting southbound CP train movements out of Ottumwa. But that is a little ways out of the city limits, but there are nearby crossings. But city limits proper, there are 5 crossings. And like I said, 163rd Avenue is right on the edge of the city limits, but it's not actually in the actual city limits. So 7 crossings on the BNSF and 5 crossings on the CP here in Ottumwa. Now there are a few underpasses and overpasses on the CP. One of the more dramatic underpasses, road underpasses, is the Harrows Branch Railroad overpass on the CP, which is just north of here. I'd like to say probably about half a mile from the Diamond. And it is a old wooden trestle. And then there's another underpass just up the line a ways to the north. That's a very short, for cars that is, a very short underpass. And then there is up Rutledge Hill, towards the summit of Rutledge Hill, there is a old wooden vehicle overpass that the trains go under. And I've filmed quite a few trains coming up Rutledge Hill from that point. Now, for a moment, it appears to be lightening up a little bit. But the clouds are pretty socked in. So we are waiting for a westbound BNSF sweet feed train, an empty sweet feed train. Went through Mount Pleasant about an hour and a half ago. Would be kind of nice if this rain would stop.
The dispatcher meets up 5334. 5334, I heard from a van driver. He is waiting for you at the top of the hill. Top of the hill, okay, thank you. Thank you. Meets up, dispatcher.
5334. Van driver is waiting at the top of the hill. I wonder what hill they are referring to. I don't know what the number is on this train. I didn't jot it down in my mental memos when I saw it go through on the Mount Pleasant rail cam. I don't know if that is this train or if it is another train. So if that's the case, it might be a wait before it comes through. But there aren't any hills on the tracks through here. Not really. So I would kind of doubt that it would be that train. But I don't know. Okay, A train has confirmed that 5334 is the sweet feed train. So they are having a crew change, it sounds like, which might mean it might be a little while. We might actually end up going back to the car and changing spots. Scratch that. Here they come. Just as well. So the top of the hill they are referring to might mean somewhere further west than here, because like I say, there are no hills on BNSF here in town. East of here, there's Agency Hill, but they have already gone by that, so. All right. Top of the hill on the Cargill Spur. Thank you, A-Train. That's probably what they're referring to. There is a pretty significant grade on the Cargill Spur. We'll talk a little more about just where this train is going after it gets through. So our next train is a westbound BNSF sweet feed train. It's an empty sweet feed train approaching even as we speak. They had been running on Main 2, which is the track closest to us, through Mount Pleasant, and now they are back on Main 1. Westbound's running on Main 2 is kind of against the flow of traffic. Normally, trains run on the right-hand track, but that's just up to the dispatcher's discretion. Now, Kirk, the power on the first train is pretty interesting. We did not get to see the power on it because the train was already going by, but I'm hoping that they end up leaving the yard and we're able to see it leaving town to the south. There is a CP engine on the front. There is a Union Pacific engine in the lash-up. I do know that from seeing this train or that train on the Washington rail cam earlier. So I'm hoping that train ends up pulling so we can actually get to see the whole thing. But at any rate, here comes our next train. This is a BNSF westbound empty sweet feed train. We are at Clay Street here in Ottumwa. And here we go. And so there it goes. The BNSF sweet feed train. The end of it just finished banging across the CP diamond. The signals have gone out. So we really hope that that CP train pulls later on, because there may not be any more activity on the BNSF for a while. These signals here at the interlocking are those type of signals that are out whenever there isn't any activity on the BNSF. That could change though. Sometimes they stay out when eastbounds are coming. So yeah, that's a sweet feed train. We'll get back to the car real quick, and we might oh, there's a lot of rain on top of this umbrella. So we'll go ahead and fold the tripod up here and head back to the car. The neat thing about these live streams is you kind of get to see the inner workings of how I make my videos. Being live, you get to see me take the tripod up and down. Okay, grab the umbrella. We'll get back to the car real quick. So the signals are now out on the BNSF. The wind is trying to take my umbrella away.
What car number you right here?
7277 West is through Mount Pleasant at 16:01. Thank you, James. So we do have another westbound train coming through in about an hour. Now, what time is it now? I don't even know what time it is. All right. It is 4:15. Thank you. I don't have a chance to look at my watch here when I've got the camera. All right. Reverse of what we did earlier, and put the tripod in the car, put the camera back on the mount. Get the car fired up here in a minute so we can get a clear picture. All right, so we probably will stick around the BNSF, because according to James, 16:01, so we got another train about 45 minutes out, give or take, if everything goes well. Zach, I'm probably not going to get Amtrak this evening unless there's something really good on it. My wife's birthday is tomorrow, so I'm going to bake her a cake tonight. So that will obviously take priority over seeing Amtrak tonight. But if there's something really good on it, we'll see. We'll kind of use my time wisely. And off we go to our next location. That was Clay Street that we just got that train at. I'm trying to think of the next place we should get the next one. Let's see. Let's see. There's the UPS package center there. We're on Gateway Drive, which is kind of a back road in Ottumwa, but it is pretty busy because it goes through a lot of industrial manufacturing and delivery places down here. Coca-Cola has their distribution center down here. Atlantic Bottling Company is the Coca-Cola bottling company in this area. As a subsidiary from the Atlantic Bottle Company headquarters, which is in Atlantic, Iowa. It's another railroad town on the Iowa Interstate. And several other businesses. There's a Sara Lee Bakery distribution area down here. A lot of things. You have to pay your Mediacom bill. Mediacom's down here. Straight ahead of us is Plum Supply, which is as the name suggests, it is a plumbing supply company. And Fastenal, which is a tool company, which is right across the street from that. Let's see. I'm trying to think here. Let's just take a short little side trip down here. That's the water plant straight ahead of us. The Amtrak station's down there. This is underneath the Highway 149 bridge, which used to be Highway 63. It's now Business 63. And 63 now bypasses, excuse me, now bypasses town. And we just crossed over what used to be one of the old Milwaukee Road branch line tracks that went down behind the water plant and up to a small yard north of the Wabash Bridge. And like I said in my last live stream, I remember when those tracks were still down here. They were unused at that point, but I remember when they were down here. They've been gone for about 20 years now, though. This is the, they call like the water plant like parking area. They need to repave. It's getting kind of pothole city. Now, one place I will not go is down there in the apparent cellular dead zone behind downtown. I'm kind of actually heading towards that right now, but and this is the Market Street Railroad crossing on BNSF on the east side of the Amtrak station. Signals still appear to be out. Our next train is probably about 30 minutes away. Appreciate the heads up from James earlier. The thing about doing these live streams is I can't view the live webcams at the same time. And when the signals are out, I have no idea if there's anything else coming or not until they come back on and show some sort of an indication. So now, I originally intended on getting Amtrak this morning. Wanted to do kind of a different live stream at a different time of day, so in hopes of seeing some more trains, which so far we are. I thought Amtrak was going to be later than it ended up being. I thought it was going to be past 11. It actually came in at 10:30, and at that point, I was doing stuff around the house, just didn't really want to interrupt that and go out and see Amtrak and start the live stream, so I decided to wait. Slightly unfortunately, there were 2 private cars on the end of Amtrak this morning that we could have seen, but I've actually seen those cars before, so it wasn't, and they weren't, I mean, I'm not going to say that there are private cars that aren't neat, but these weren't any of the really spectacular private car. But any private car is spectacular, don't get me wrong, but they're ones that I've seen before, and we'll probably see again. I think one of them was Pacific Sands, I think, and what was the other one? Somebody will probably chime in and let me know, but I knew about them coming through, but I thought they came through yesterday, so that's what kind of threw me off. They must have overnighted in Denver, and that's why they came through a day later than I thought, because they left California on the 26th. They should have been through here on the 28th, but they came through this morning. So I'm guessing they overnighted in Denver for some reason. Probably just to see the sights. We'll go ahead and park back at McLean Street and wait for this next train. These crossings through here are pretty wide open, allows you to get a pretty good view of the train.
BNSF 5334 on 730-27.
Now this is the train we just saw clearing up their warrant, which we'll talk a little more about how that works here once we get to McLean Street.
BNSF 5334 westbound, contract warrant 730-27 between CTC, CP1202, and westbound control to Snow Ice Road crossing at time 1618-1618 is our control. All control.
Thing about this tripod is it's...
The next westbound is back at 2502.
Wow, so 2502, they're still a good 30 minutes out. Yeah, that's about right. That's
Sounds good. Yeah, the next westbound is about an hour away, so it should work out pretty good.
next westbound is an hour away. And of course, that is probably an hour away from reaching where the sweet feed train's destination is, which is the Cargill feed plant in Eddyville. And so to get in there, they have to get off the main line and go in to the Cargill spur, which goes up towards Eddyville and into the sidings and switches and everything up in there. And it takes a little time because it is a manually thrown switch, and the whole train's got to get in there, and then they got to throw the switch back to the main line. So it's a lengthy process. Now, one thing I am hoping does not happen is that the CP train doesn't leave within the next, like, 20, 30 minutes or so, because then we're going to be faced with a dilemma of what train to get, which I don't like when that happens, because I'd like to try and get every single train, but... That's the CPKC frequency right now.
Oh, now it's starting to make sense. Your truck outside.
So we've got one more train on the BNSF at least, maybe more action. Another moderate dilemma that I have here is that the car is running on about an 1/8 tank of gas. So I'm hoping that we will not have to fill up the car with gas before all is said and done today. So we're just gonna wait for this next train. I really hope it's not an hour from now, but if they're at 2502, that is about 30 miles away. The 2502 is a control point that is around Fairfield, which is probably where the sweet feed train switched over from main track 2 back to main track 1. I thought they were going to switch over here in Ottumwa, but I forgot that that control point was out there and that's where they probably switched over. But 2502, on BNSF, a lot of the control points, and probably true on a bunch of other railroads as well, is that they number their control points based on the milepost that they're located at. So 2502 is at milepost 250.2, 2502. And milepost 280 on BNSF's Ottumwa Subdivision is actually just right down here. It is just on the other side of the Gateway Drive crossing, which is just in our view here over to the right. So our next westbound is at 2502. We are a little ways past 280, so that's 30 miles. And a train going, you know, track speed, which for freight trains is probably, you know, 50, 55 miles an hour. It's going to take a little over 30 minutes, 35, 40 minutes for the train to get here. So we might have a slight wait. Now, there's been no word on any eastbounds, so there might be an eastbound train somewhere in the mix as well, but I'm not sure about that. The signals down at the Diamond with CPKC are currently out. As I was saying, if the CPKC train were to pull now, we would probably be okay to get it and then head out and get the BNSF train. But they would have to leave about right now to for us to comfortably get all the way over there and then all the way back over here in time to see this next westbound. And I kind of want to see what it is, because James told me it is, let's see, 7277. May assume that that's a BNSF locomotive, and that is an ES44 DC. And the DC engines are typically used on trains that are not coal trains on BNSF. Coal trains use the AC locomotives, and of course AC locomotives are pretty versatile. They can pull pretty much any train, and so can DC engines too. But the main difference is that the AC engines can pull really heavy loads at really slow speeds without there being any danger of burning up the traction motors or overheating the traction motors. AC locomotives can pull trains for very sustained periods at slow speeds, heavy trains at slow speeds, without overheating, burning up the motors. DC engines, not so much. And that's why years ago, before AC locomotives were really innovated, and DC was the only type of locomotive, DC traction motors were the only type of traction motors in trains, in diesel locomotives, you would see way more engines pulling trains. And that's because they needed more engines to keep them going, so the motors would not be put. So we had kind of a slight hiccup and get into a better position here, so that hopefully doesn't happen again. So we're back now, so everything looks good. Sorry about that little blip. So A-Train says 25 minutes the minimum for freight trains from 2502 to agency. So, and it's probably another good 5 or 6, minutes from there to here, maybe a little longer. Sounds about right. So another 30 minutes or so, that westbound train should be here. So it is a rainy day, which is slightly unfortunate, but we seem to be getting a decent amount of rail activity. More than normal anyways, for the live streams. This is the first live stream I've really done that's a little earlier in the day. Except maybe my very first live stream, which was, I probably started at about this time. I don't quite remember. So back to the discussion about AC and DC traction motors on diesel locomotives. The AC locomotive traction motors on diesels are a lot more versatile. They can pretty much pull anything, any freight train very easily, and slow speeds. They don't have to worry about burning up the traction motors. They're just a lot more robust, a lot more durable for the railroad environment, which is why they are so popular. And pretty much all diesel locomotives today are AC traction for freight trains. Passenger locomotives are still, a lot of them, they're still DC. But it's a different environment, because for a passenger train, you're pulling shorter consists and starting and stopping quickly and going at faster speeds. So, I mean, DC traction motors are still very well suited to passenger operations. But even some of the passenger engines are AC traction motors. Some of them are also, some of the ones that come to mind right away are the dual mode passenger locomotives that you see out in the Northeast, the P32 AC DMs. Those are AC traction motors. And the I think the New Jersey Transit PL42 ACs are also AC traction. There are a few of them out there. Now, I'm drawing a blank here. The Chargers, I almost like to say that they are AC. They may, I'm not sure about that, if they have AC traction motors or not. I'd have to look that up. But the new freight engines are almost all AC traction motors now. So getting back to where I was going with that, this next train has a ES44 DC locomotive on the front. Instead of an AC locomotive, it is a DC. And what BNSF does with those engines is they use them on their trains that are not very heavy, that are lighter trains or more general freight. So not a coal train. However, this is a westbound train, so it could be an empty train, which sometimes BNSF assigns DC locomotives to empty coal trains, because for the obvious reason they are much lighter than a loaded coal train. But if not, this could be something else besides a coal train. It might be a general freight train. It might be a grain train, sand train. I mean, it could be anything. If anybody knows what that train was on the Mount Pleasant rail cam, just shoot me a comment, and we'll prepare ourselves for that. Could very well be an empty coal train too, though. So we're at McLean Street right now. This is the McLean Street grade crossing, and what we're looking at across the railroad tracks right now is a couple of cabooses without their wheels. And the big building just to the right of that is Main Street Donuts. It is the back of Main Street Donuts, which used to be the Wonder Bread bakery outlet years ago. It is now Main Street Donuts, and the owner of Main Street Donuts is not only a train enthusiast, but he is a former railroad employee. Believe he worked for the Milwaukee Road years ago. And he's got a couple of cabooses here that eventually are going to go up on the railroad track that he has out there with the wheels. And he also has, there's another caboose on the other side of the building, and there is a green Union Pacific work car. It's like an old work box car that you can see kind of up to the far right of the screen right now. That wiper noise is kind of annoying, but I kind of have to keep it on to keep the picture looking nice for everybody. Kind of wish this rain would blow out of here. So I just got a comment that 7277, according to James here, is a manifest, a Gale DMO. That might be interesting. The Galesburg to Des Moines manifest, which is the one of two regularly scheduled, regularly assigned daily trains that you see come through here that are mixed freight. General freight, as we suspected, with the DC locomotive leading on the front of the train. Now, the Gale DMO is fairly new. It's a fairly new train. It's been going for a few years now, but it originally was an assignment that came out of West Quincy, Missouri, and it was a WQM DMO. West Quincy to Des Moines, and the other train, the counterpart that went east and south, was the DMO WQM, the Des Moines to West Quincy. But then several years back, it was changed to Galesburg. So the freight that goes out of Des Moines or to Des Moines now goes on the train that goes to Galesburg instead of West Quincy, which is a shorter run by all means, and it's probably a little easier to shuffle the freight cars in Galesburg and then send them on their way from there. A-Train says there was an eastbound mixed freight with a UP leader. Yeah, I did see that on the Des Moines rail cam, the comment that was left on there about that train. For some reason, Union Pacific leaders on this line on the BNSF through here is fairly uncommon. For whatever reason, you just don't see very many UP leaders on the BNSF through here. So it's kind of a treat to see them. It doesn't happen much. I have seen it a few times. I've gotten some video of some UP-led freight trains through here, but again, it's very unusual for this line, and I don't really know why, because on the CPKC now, of course, it's going to take me a long time to get used to saying that, but on the CPKC, you can pretty much see anything. I've seen pretty much every Class 1 railroad represented, their engines leading trains on the CPKC. Obviously their own locomotives, and now of course you've got Kansas City Southern, but I've also seen BNSF, Union Pacific, Norfolk Southern, CSX, and even occasionally Canadian National locomotives. Somewhat unusual to see them, but once in a while you do. It's just pooled power, whatever is running through on the trains, whatever run-through power that they're either paying CPKC back for using their locomotives on their lines, vice versa. There's a lot of stuff that goes into the reasoning behind seeing foreign railroad locomotives on trains. And it could be power just running through from one railroad to the next on the same train that's being transferred from one railroad to the next. And it could be engines that are being, temporarily used by the other railroad. Could be a bunch of different things. And thankfully, with a lot of the kinks in PTC being ironed out. PTC is pretty much compatible through all the different railroads in the United States. So for a while, when PTC was first implemented nationwide after the big mandate, it could only work on, or at least for BNSF, it could only work on BNSF's line. So any BNSF train had to have a BNSF locomotive leading. But now intercompatibility, that's the right word, has been worked out on PTC for all the different class 1s. So you see foreign power leading trains again, just like you did before PTC was really mandated, because their systems work with each other to a certain extent. Now, it wasn't too long ago that the Union Pacific line through the middle of Iowa was equipped with the old Chicago Northwestern cab signaling. And when that was in place, there could only be Union Pacific locomotives leading trains on the main line, the old overland route, and through the middle of Iowa. UP engines that were equipped with cab signaling. And that was a holdover from the Chicago Northwestern days. It was an advanced, kind of an advanced safety system on trains. It gives engineers an advance warning of what the next signal will be. It's kind of an outdated system, and just recently, within not even the last year, Union Pacific has discontinued use of cab signaling across Iowa. So now you will see other locomotives from other railroads leading UP trains across Iowa. And still pretty unusual for rail fans up there, and a real treat for the rail fans to see different railroads' engines on those trains, because it has been pretty much unheard of for years, unless the railroad, the foreign railroad, had a special exemption to run like a detour train or something like that. That actually happened in 2019. For a while, BNSF had an emergency waiver from the FRA to run their own trains with their own power with Union Pacific pilot engineers across the UP main line when this line was flooded. That was back in the beginning of 2019. I'd like to say probably about around this time in 2019. I'll have to look back at my video. My mom and I are actually up around Tama and up along that area in the beginning of 2019. In fact, we actually caught Amtrak's California Zephyr detouring across the UP. We got that in Clarence, Iowa. And of course, that train had a Union Pacific engine leading, because back then the cab signaling was still in place, and they had to have a UP engine on the front for cab signaling. But I wonder now, if Amtrak were to detour over that route, wonder if it would no longer be necessary. And it'd be interesting to see just how quick Amtrak could travel across that line now without freight locomotives on the front. Wonder if they could go 79 miles an hour across Iowa. Question on the next train. Everything goes well, I'd say probably within the next 20 minutes or so. The signals down at the IC&E junction, which is to our left screen-wise, they are now lit. So we got some activity approaching the interlocking, but all the signals are still red, but they might pop up to green here shortly, so we'll keep an eye out for it. It is a westbound mixed freight. Back up in the comments, we have some people giving some heads up on the next westbounds from looking at the Mount Pleasant rail cam on YouTube. So the next train is a mixed freight. We're guessing it's the Gale DMO. We'll see here when it goes by. The Gale DMO is probably, well, it's definitely the shorter of the two regular mixed freights that you see come through here. The other mixed freight is the train from Lincoln, Nebraska to Galesburg. The LINGAL, which is the eastbound train, and the GALE-LIN, which is the westbound train. Lincoln to Galesburg and Galesburg to Lincoln, respectively. And that is usually a very long mixed freight. And it has a very nice, it usually has a very nice variety of freight cars in the train. I mean, everything from, you know, plenty of box cars and covered hoppers, flat cars, a lot of times loads of new railroad wheels, auto racks, even the occasional loaded coal car you will see in the middle of the Lincoln to Galesburg trains, hauling, you know, short, small deliveries of coal to different places. Now, I don't know what companies receive single loads or a few loads of coal, but there are some, because you do see some mixed in on the Lincoln to Galesburg freight train. Well, I really hope that this is not the CP train about ready to leave, because we're going to be faced with that interesting dilemma of which train to get. I really hope that I'm not faced with that question, because I'd like to get both of them. But the signals are still red down at the Diamond. Okay, A-Train says nothing by agency yet. I think they'd be getting close, though, if they're moving right along. So mixed freight probably isn't going much faster than like 50 miles an hour, but we'll have to see. Now, I just heard something tone up on the CPKC radio, and I kind of hope that it's not 260 getting ready to leave, because we've got our next BNSF train approaching. Could very well be within the next 15 minutes or so. So if I go out and get this CPKC train, we might not get back in time to see the BNSF train, which would be kind of unfortunate, because it is a good train too. So I don't know. Nothing yet on the radio. We've got a viewer from the UK joining in. Welcome. It's a little ways away. Guess it's about 11 o'clock at night over there right now. They're about 6 hours ahead of us. All right, Christian, there is a westbound BNSF train approaching. A-Train, let's see. The DMO gets recrewed in Ottumwa. I'm not sure about that. It's possible. It's very possible. That almost sounds right. So if that were the case, we might have a little more time than we think. Kind of hope that's the case, because then that would give us a little time to go get the CP train and then come back. The CPKC train. The merger with Kansas City Southern was only a couple weeks ago, so it's going to take a while for me to say CPKC. Canadian Pacific Kansas City. The signals are still red. Okay, Christian. All right. This is probably them.
Hey, we're on here. Got some numbers for you. I need some tracks.
All right. We are going to take...
I'll tell you what. Track. Don't worry about the numbers now. That's I'm like planning to be ready to copy over here. Track 1019 1019 29.
All right, we're going to take kind of a gamble here. I really didn't want to be put in this situation, but on the railroad, sometimes it happens. Okay, so what you were just hearing on the radio is the CPKC train 260 is getting a warrant to head south. Kind of what we experienced on the last live stream. We got this train, the tail end of it coming in at the beginning of the live stream, and I hoped that they would leave during the live stream, and they are, but we have kind of a problem because there is a westbound BNSF mixed freight approaching as well. The signals are still red down at the Diamond with CPKC here in town, but they could very well be coming within the next, 10-15 minutes. As long as the signals stay red, they're not going to go any further, but that could change while we're gone. Now, A-Train raised the question that the DMO trains get recrewed here in Ottumwa. And I'm not sure if that's a everyday thing or if it's just as needed, but if it is true that they get recrewed, then we'll have a little more time to get back after seeing this train. So CPKC 260 just got their warrant, so we are going to head out to the southern end of the yard here and see them leave, and then we're going to go back into town and hopefully try and get that other train. Westbound passing agency, thank you. So that pretty much confirms that we will not be able to see that westbound in Ottumwa. However, we might try something else. Just to see that train, we might try something else. And it's similar to what we did with the CPKC train last time, where we went out of town a little ways to see it. So we might actually go a little out of town to the west on the BNSF to see that train. I'll have to think in my head of where to go as we go see this train. But sometimes this happens when you're watching trains. Sometimes you're faced with no trains at all. I mean, it's kind of a feast or famine kind of thing. Sometimes you have no trains at all, and other times you have so many trains you don't know which one to go see. You kind of have to pick and choose, which ideally you'd like to see every train. And sometimes you're not able to. You have to pick and choose. But this is a pretty good train, so I think it's a good thing we're going to go out and see it. But like I said, if this train clears, we might be able to get the other train later at a different point. And hopefully, we have good internet reception at the place I'm thinking of going. I really hope. We'll just have to see. But for now, we're going to get this CPKC train. We're going to go outside of Ottumwa a little ways.
51 south, departing Ottumwa. 6.27, 6.285, Steve Chris up half the range division. District track 1 control territory on track 1 number 1019-1019. Proceed from south, yard limit down 12, 60 Laredo on main track. First restriction, milepost 309, 25 mile an hour main track, 260 out.
All right. That is them. They are leaving Ottumwa right now. CPKC train 260. We're going to get them. A little closer to town than we did last time. Last time we got them, we were out at milepost 308, which is a point known as Bidwell. Today, I think we're going to have enough time to get out to 305, which we were just discussing earlier on the live stream. There's a short... not less than that. There's a coal train in the yard as well. And they are pulling as we speak. Just cleared the crossing. Now they are that 163rd Avenue crossing. They are on the second track, which is considered one track in the yard. So they're going to weave out of the yard a little ways, which might take a little extra time. So we've got enough time to get to our next point, which is up ahead, milepost 305. Yes, we just passed Rocket Fuels about a minute ago. Slow down here a little bit. To our next viewing point, which is right here. This is 170th Avenue. Try and make a quick little... oh, crap. Yeah, go ahead, buddy. Go. This road is a little busier than you'd think. Across the tracks yet again. I'm kind of getting the car pointed towards the next place that I'd like to go, so it doesn't take a whole lot of time. Try and park over here as best I can, making sure that I'm not too close to the stop sign, because that's illegal. Park in front of stop sign. Now, I'm going to leave everything rolling here while I get the tripod set up, and then I'll come right back and grab the phone, and we'll get out and get this train. So just hold tight, be right back, get the tripod set up. All right, folks, we're back. Unplug the camera from Juice. Get it on the tripod. Where's my umbrella? Gotta make sure to grab the umbrella. Sorry about that. All right, here we go. But it really is not raining that bad right now, so may not need the umbrella. But never hurts to bring it, just in case. And here they come. CPKC train 260 at milepost 305 on the Laredo Subdivision. They are departing Ottumwa. A pretty good lash up. Here they come. Here comes that string of brand new auto racks that we saw earlier. And these are brand new. This string, December of last year, so they're only a few months old. Enjoy these graffiti-less auto racks while you can. Yeah, last couple here were built in March. So some of those are literally barely a month old. Another brief string of them here as we get near the end of the train. That is Canadian Pacific Kansas City train 260 on its way towards Kansas City. We are just on the edge of Ottumwa, Iowa, on the CPKC Laredo Subdivision. And now we are going to make a mad dash back to the car and hopefully intercept our next train on BNSF. So I'm gonna kind of do reverse of what I did last time. And run back to the car with the camera real quick. Get the camera secured here. And then we will go back and grab the tripod and head on our way. Be right back. Okay, so the train we just got was 260 on the CPKC. Our next train is going to be a westbound BNSF mixed freight, but, oh boy, We have a slight dilemma here because I am almost out of fuel. So, better not venture too far and run the risk of running out of gas. So we're gonna go west a little ways. And we've got a gas light. Well, shoot. What do I do? Do I head back to town in hopes of there being something else? Or do I just keep on going and hope for the best? Shoot, I don't know what to do. Anybody watching the Mount Pleasant rail cam, do we have any more westbounds coming? Have any more westbounds gone through? Don't see the manifest by the Ottumwa camera. Well, I wonder if the signals are still red. So we're heading west on Highway 34, and our gas light is on in the car, so I really don't want to go very far to get out in the no man's land without there being any gas stations for miles, which we kind of are at that point right now. The nearest gas station is Blakesburg, Eddyville. Great. Not good. Really should have filled up the car before I went on this little adventure. So let me know if there were any more westbounds after that one train. And I am going to have to turn around because I do not want to run the risk of running out of gas in the middle of nowhere. So the next road, we're going to have to turn around and go back. And if I miss the train, I miss it. But no more westbound, says A train. So, alright. Probably silly. Okay. How to focus on my driving right now. It's unfortunate. We're kind of going through an internet lag zone through these hills. It's really difficult for the phone to keep on cellular signal to do this live stream, so it's silly. If I had just gone back into town, I wouldn't have had to worry about the gas light or missing this train, because apparently it has not gone through yet. So we're gonna go ahead and turn around right here. Double back. Return to Ottumwa. And hope for two things. One, we get this train. And two, and probably more importantly, that we do not run out of gas. I don't think we will, but still. The gas light is on. So, guess what? I am probably going to go back to my old friend Rocket Fuels and get gas, since it is the closest gas station where I am right now. Now, these gas lights on these cars, I do know that they come on quite a ways before you're actually empty, as a warning to make sure that you don't run out of gas. But still, you should not drive with your gas light on. Get to the nearest gas station as soon as possible. Our train, we just went over the CPKC again, and train 260 just going underneath us. So if we were in pursuit of that train again, we would have caught up to them. I'm not going to do that now, of course, but now after I get gas, are we going to come back out this way to get this mixed freight? It kind of depends on the intel that I get for whether it's past Ottumwa or not. Now, another way to know whether they've gone through Ottumwa or not, if you're not watching the webcam like me, is to listen to your scanner. They go into, they actually go out of track warrant territory for a while, go on to a stretch of CTC, and so they will be clearing up their track warrant that they've been traveling on the east side of Ottumwa, and they will do that over the radio. When you hear that, which their warrant goes to the westbound control signal, the IC&E Railroad crossing, which is where the CPKC crosses BNSF in Ottumwa, then obviously you will know that they've gone by Ottumwa. But I've not heard that yet, so they may still be in Ottumwa. And had I just gone back to Ottumwa instead of going all the way out here, would have had plenty of time to get gas and go back to where I needed to be. But hopefully, but sometimes this is how it is when you're train watching. Sometimes you have to make an educated guess, and sometimes you're spot on, and other times you're like, well, why did I go all that way thinking I would get ahead of this train, and if I had just gone back this way, that sometimes you just have to make a guess. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. This is the type of stuff you just kind of have to do on these lighter main lines that have less traffic than other lines. The BNSF through Ottumwa is fairly busy. A-Train commented earlier in the comments here on the live stream, and he's right. There's about 30 trains a day on the BNSF. Several years back, it was closer to 40 trains, but of course today they're running fewer trains and longer trains, so, and just railroad traffic is down. So they are running fewer trains, so it probably is around 30 trains a day on average. One thing you have to remember is that railroads run 24 hours, so half of those trains could very well be at night. So it's not unheard of for there to be maybe only 15, 20 trains in the daylight hours coming through Ottumwa. Now in the CPKC, it's probably about 4 to 6 trains a day, which sounds like a lot less. But usually when I go out train watching, there will be something in town. I'll always get a couple of trains on that line whenever I go out, if everything lines up well. And ironically, very ironically, for when I'm doing these live streams, I have only gotten, with the exception of Amtrak, I have only gotten one BNSF freight train in Ottumwa. All the other freight trains have been on the CPKC. Again, very ironic. Well, here we are at our fuel destination. Hopefully they're open. Looks like they are. At Rocket Fuels. Hey, gas is only $3.39 here. Cool.
That's why you start here, get that early. You walk up there, get that load.
Okay, so you guys are going to get a lovely view of Rocket Fuels while I get gas. And then we're going to see if maybe we can get that other train. So we'll be right back, folks. Pop the gas cap. Here we go.
Slack for 10. 3.82 slack. There, James. I can go fast, you can walk.
All right, $43 later, we now have a full tank of gas. So hopefully we can proceed now. But I'm sure there are plenty of people around the country who would really like to fill up their cars for only $43. People like California. Welcome, Brian. We've gotten 2 trains so far. We're in pursuit of a 3rd one. Might look back at the comments real quick just to make sure that I haven't missed it. But it does appear gates are ringing at Main Street Donuts. Okay, that means that we are going to continue with our original plan and go out of town and get this train. Now, A train, it's oh, it's an eastbound. Okay, what kind of eastbound? I'll just sit here for a minute. I really don't want to get... Oh, it's a grain train. Okay, well, we're gonna go get that one. As much as I would not like to miss... Well, we may not miss the mixed freight train. It hasn't gone by yet, as far as I know, has it? I really appreciate all the comments that you guys are leaving on trains in the area. It's really helping me with this live stream. Manifest still hasn't gone by. Okay. So we're coming back into Ottumwa now. We were at Rocket Fuels getting gas because I foolishly ran the car almost completely out of gas. The gas light came on. I was heading west to try and get this mixed freight train that still is yet to go by, Ottumwa. I should have just turned around and come right back into Ottumwa. I would have avoided a lot of unnecessary wasted time, but apparently there is a grain train going through on the BNSF right now. Lots of covered hoppers. Okay, so it's not just grain. Well, whatever it is, it sounds interesting, so we will go back this way to get it. And we haven't missed the grain train either, so we might get 2 more trains today. We've already gotten 2. We might get 2 more. The scanner has been pretty silent. Which is kind of unusual when there's actually trains moving in town right now. So, question on everybody's proverbial lips may be, where am I going to get this eastbound when it's already coming through town? Well, I'll show you. And since we have a full tank of gas, I can theoretically go anywhere. I've got to get new wiper blades. That is really bothering me. This is Quincy Avenue. Right over there to our right, past KFC and Arby's, is the Quincy Place Mall. And the signage for Herberger's, which is no longer in the mall. They are gone. Okay. So, with great thanks to all the people who have been giving me updates on the nearby trains, there are 2 BNSF freight trains that we're going to try and get. There's one that's going through right now. It's not a coal train. It is something else. All we know right now is there are some grain cars on the train, but it's not a grain train, or it's covered hoppers, excuse me. Are they still going through right now? Can't tell. A train, did the train already clear, or are they still going through? Don't see anything down there moving. They must have already gone through. End has passed the cam. Clear. Okay. How long ago was that? Just a few seconds ago, or just... About a minute. Okay. Thank you. But here again, we're faced with another possible dilemma. Too many trains, we may miss one. And, this is just part of the rail fanning. We'll take you out into some territory that I have not yet been on the live streams. See, I'm kind of going a little faster than I should be through here. Do not want to get a speeding ticket. I think I told you guys about getting a speeding ticket in Colorado. Clearing Iowa Avenue right now. I don't know what it is. It might be the Des Moines to Galesburg train. I can't think of it being anything else. It looks like I saw some tank cars on the train. We're going to get on eastbound Highway 34 and head east of Ottumwa to try and get this train. So the CPKC train has kind of thrown me off as far as, getting trains in Ottumwa proper. Missing the CPKC train coming into Ottumwa caused me to go out of Ottumwa, and now I have missed a BNSF, well, almost missed a BNSF train coming through Ottumwa. So now to get it, I'm going to have to go east of Ottumwa ways. So it's kind of like we're playing railroad hopscotch right now. And sometimes that's what you have to do if you want to get specific trains. Eastbound could be the LINGAL. A train just commented. Well, that's good. That's a pretty decent train. And indecent, I mean, it's usually a longer train, so it'll have more of a challenging run up the hill towards agency, which is where we are going, where we are heading to. We will either get the train in the agency area, or we will get it, yeah, there it is. It is slowly crawling. You might be able to see it as we come up over the tracks here. It is straight ahead of us right now, right up in there. We are going to go over the top of it now. And the train is not going very fast, so we will almost assuredly get ahead of the train at agency. Nice train. And the other mixed freight is indeed stopped at Iowa Avenue, so I just saw a visual on that train as well, so yeah, a 0.7% grade according to A train just commented, and it is a pretty sustained grade. It is a very long grade. The freight trains have a kind of a challenge to get up. It's not a very heavy grade, obviously, not even 1%, but it is has a pretty long uphill section of track. And for a train as long as LINGAL, which is probably approaching 100 cars of general freight, it's not quite as heavy as a coal train, but again, most likely you've got DC traction motored engines on the front of this train, so it's going to be a little more challenging to get it up the hill, and so it'll take its time. So we should have plenty of time to get ahead of it. A-Train says there are a pair of orange GEs on the front. Typical power for the LINGAL. And our westbound mixed freight, if it ends up leaving, which it may not, there may not be a crew for it, so it probably is a wise decision to go out here and get this train, because the other one may not even go by, so... But we'll see. See what happens. So we are indeed playing a large game of railroad hopscotch right now. A lot of highway time. Hope you guys don't mind that. We are heading east on Highway 34, which is a 4-lane highway now. Now, many years ago, it was only 4-lane to about Agency, and then it became 2-lane all the way to Burlington. Now it is 4-lane all the way to Burlington, with freeway bypasses around Fairfield, Mount Pleasant, and some other short bypasses around, New London and Middletown and Danville. But at one point, this was a 2-lane road. But through here, it was a very narrow section of divided highway for the longest time. And that was broken up and is now a 2-lane highway on our left, which connects... Oh. That train is really crawling. We got a brief view of them right there, going up the hill. We may stop at Agency to get this train. We've got time. If the cell signal cooperates, hopefully it will. Actually, I don't know. Agency's coming right up, and the train was right there, so we're probably going to go even further to one of my favorite locations to watch trains out in this area. I've gotten Amtrak many times out here, a few freights. It is on the east side of a highway location that is referred to by locals as the Eldon Y. Now, no pun intended, but why they call it that is because they're kind of a Y-shaped intersection between Highway 34 and Highway 16, which head to Eldon. So it's called the Eldon Y. Now, since the 4-lane got built, the Y is still kind of there, but you don't really see it unless you go south on Highway 16. Now, we heard a brief little blip of tone up on the BNSF frequency. Watch this be the westbound getting a warrant to leave town, or getting a new crew to leave town. It wouldn't surprise me. But if that's the case, we're going to wrap things up and go from there. Not right now, but later on. We're going to keep going to get this train, but we'll see about this westbound.
Sounds good. The location sure Mr. Burlington gave me a call. He said you don't have enough power to grab all the cars and back, so when you get there, he said only take enough cars to get you to 8,800 that they did 0 tons.
Huh. Yeah, that's probably the westbound. That is probably the westbound getting ready to leave town. So, of course, if we had stayed in town, we would have gotten them, but we'll get this eastbound. Now, one of these days, I'm going to time it right where we get a bunch of trains within a couple hours. We've been doing the live stream now for over 2 hours. This is the longest live stream I've done so far to date. And, it would be nice to get a lot of trains in a little time. Has that ever happened in Ottumwa? Yes, it has. When I've been out filming trains just with my regular video camera, my nice video camera to make my full-length productions. There was a time in Ottumwa a few years back, I'd like to say it was 2018. I'll have to look. It was middle of November, about a week from Thanksgiving. I saw 10 trains in just a little over 2 hours in Ottumwa. It was crazy. It was like a train every 20 minutes, it seemed like, for a long time. Sometimes even more brief periods than that. 10 trains in a little over 2 hours. It has happened. But it just depends on where the trains are and whether they have to wait for Amtrak or any other, movements that might bunch up the trains here and there. So it does happen through here, but it's fairly unusual. There are days that are busier than this, and this always tends to be kind of a slower time of day. Like middle, early afternoon. Yeah, A-Train is just commenting about when Amtrak's coming, the dispatcher will, especially if Amtrak's running on time. I found out that when Amtrak's running on time, they do this a lot. It's way more likely. They stage the freight trains, and Amtrak will run around the stopped freight trains on one track or the other, because the freight railroads are required by law to give Amtrak priority. It is a requirement, providing they can. I mean, to the best of their abilities. So to do that on a double track line, the dispatcher will stop the freight trains, and Amtrak will run around the freight trains on the available track using crossovers to overtake freight trains and keep going and stay on schedule. So what that happens is there might be 2 or 3 freight trains stopped in Ottumwa waiting for Amtrak to overtake them all, make their station stop, and head on their way. So a lot of times, if Amtrak is running on time, you'll get to see Amtrak, and then after Amtrak goes, it's like the floodgates open, and you see all these other freight trains afterwards. It is not uncommon to see 2 freight trains right after Amtrak, one going east, one going west. If Amtrak is running on time, if Amtrak is significantly late, if Amtrak's only an hour or 2 late, the same thing will happen, usually. But if Amtrak is several hours late, they miss what's called their time slot. And so the freight trains will end up Okay, apologize for that little, what probably was a moment of silence. Got a phone call. But, wasn't a really important call, so it'll wait. Now, this is a gravel road crossing to the east of the Eldon Y that I was just talking about. And the light looks pretty good right now, and the rain has stopped. So this might be a good picture. So we're gonna come on down here and make another 3-point turn and head up to the railroad and get our picture of this eastbound train. Now, A-Train just let me know that the train is in agency now. So my theory of getting ahead of it a little more proved correct. If I got off in agency, I might have gotten it and I might not have. So whenever you feel like it might be close, it's always a good idea to keep on going a little ways so you have enough time to actually get out and get ready. Now this is good. The rain has stopped for now. We are outside of town. I can hear the telemetry of the train. I've got the telemetry frequency on right now so we can hear the blip of the end of train device, which goes out over a radio frequency. It's got about a 2-mile radius, 2 or 3 mile radius on the EOTs. All right, so we're gonna go ahead this time and put the camera on the tripod right now. I think I hear them. We're gonna go ahead and put the camera on the tripod. So, pardon me while I get things rigged up here. Okay. Now we're gonna grab our keys, grab our scanner, get out, get this train. I think we'll be all right. Famous last words. I think we'll be okay to not take the umbrella. It appears that the rain has subsided for now. Again, famous last words. Watch it cut loose and I'm absolutely soaked, but that's a risk we'll have to take. Now this is a very nice location, and I've come out here a lot to get trains. As you can hear, the train is whistling for crossings in agency. I'm just gonna so nice looking clouds. Do a quick pan here and show you the scene. Here's the railroad crossing. And there's the view to the east, which looks a little better when you're right up near the tracks. And we are going to go ahead and get to the other side. Now, something that I just now noticed is that they have redone this crossing. It's very nice now. It's actually paved on this gravel road. It used to be a very old wooden crossing. They've done a lot of nice work to it. You always worry about possibly getting hung up on these old crossings. So I'm glad they redid it. Makes things a lot more safe. Okay. Now, since this train is running, well, we're going to go ahead and set up right here. Since this train is running on Main 2, it's going to be farther away from us. Apologize for the shakiness as I get the camera set up. Now, I have invested in a new tripod mount for my phone, and eventually, not anytime soon obviously, but eventually I will have to invest in a new phone that is even more steady. Okay, James said that the westbound mixed freight is going through Ottumwa now, so that seals the deal. This is probably going to be our last train of the stream, unless another westbound were to show up now, but a while ago, there were no signs of any more westbound. So this will probably be our last train of the stream. But that means we've gotten 3 trains in 2 hours, which is actually not that bad. Could be better, but it could be worse. It's been an hour, or been 2 hours and 17 minutes right now. And thanks to all you who have stuck around. We're going to get one more train here. At least. Would be kind of neat if some random westbound were to show up, but probably would have known if there was another westbound clearing Mount Pleasant, so. But this is better anyways. This is a really nice scene. Now, something that we're going to hear momentarily, there is a defect detector on the east side of Agency. And when you hear that defect detector, the train is typically just a few minutes away. It's possible that this train might be almost here before the defect detector goes off, because obviously it's a longer train. I'm usually out here to get Amtrak. So when you hear the defect detector, Amtrak is pretty much here. The defect detector is at 271.3, milepost 271.3. Yeah, they are crawling up the hill. Still a little ways out, whistling for another crossing. We'll probably leave the stream going when we head back into Ottumwa, just in case there's something else going on. We might end up, if there's anything else in town, we might get them. There is that coal train, but I don't know how soon they're gonna leave on the CPKC. But obviously I've been doing the live stream for a long time now. We're approaching 2 hours and 20 minutes on the air. So as this train approaches, you might hear the defect detector at 271.3. This is an eastbound mixed freight train on the BNSF's Ottumwa Subdivision. We're a few miles east of Agency. Actually, right here, we are a little closer to Batavia, Iowa, than we are Agency. Right near the edge, the eastern edge of Wapello County. So we're a little ways away from Ottumwa right now, but it's probably the westbound that we that just left Ottumwa. Yep, that's what it is. Okay, so we didn't get that train, but we're gonna get this train, which is a mixed freight. So it's kind of an either-or situation. You either get that train or you get this train. Yes, you are correct. CPR 1234. The lead singer for Owl City was born in Ottumwa. Yep, that is a
BNSF detector, milepost 271.3. Main 2, no defects. Repeat, no defects. Total axle 592 out.
that was the defect detector. We were able to hear it before the train got here, but as you can see in the distance, they are about here. An eastbound mixed freight. I'll be able to identify it once it goes by. We're thinking it's probably the LINGAL mixed freight. Here they come. Most definitely that was LINGAL, the long manifest freight train heading east, running between Lincoln, Nebraska and heading towards Galesburg, Illinois. One of the main mixed freight trains here on BNSF's Ottumwa Subdivision. That was a good train. I'm glad that I came out here and got it. I'm pretty certain that it was a much better mixed freight than our westbound would have been, which already has cleared Ottumwa. So, yeah. This is a very nice location. There's something about it. It's just really, really neat. We'll go ahead and pan the camera back this way really quick before we head back towards Ottumwa. Turned out to be a very nice evening. The rain's finally cleared out. Starting to get nice in the sky. That was pretty sure, I have to look back at the video, but a Tier 4 BNSF locomotive most likely an ET-44C4 that was leading that train. And those newer engines have a very distinct horn. It's a K5H, sorry if I get this wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's a K5H LLA, something like that. But at the end of the horn, whenever these newer Tier 4 engines finish sounding their horn, there's just a slight little like variance in the pitch of the horn. It's just very distinct. Whenever you hear that, you know that it's a Tier 4 engine. Like the pitch of the horn just changes briefly right after the horn is sounded. It's almost like the horn's being quilled a little bit by the engineer, which they're not able to do on the newer engines. It's just, you know, a basic, you know, air, you know, off and on the horn. But probably something to do with the newer horn valves on the newer engines. But that's how I know, just by hearing it, that it's one of those newer locomotives. So pretty sure that's what that was on that train. And that was BNSF's LINGAL mixed freight. We're going to collapse the tripod right here and head back to the car, head back into Ottumwa, and probably call things quits for the day. I do know that Amtrak is on its way, but it will not be for another hour. We've already been out for well over 2 hours, so we're probably going to skip Amtrak for today, which we've gotten Amtrak in pretty much all of our other live streams so far. So now, unless there's something really crazily unusual on the train tonight, which if somebody were to rewind the Galesburg or Mount Pleasant rail cam and let me know if there's anything neat on it, then I'd appreciate that. I'm going to head back to the car now. It's patiently waiting down here at the end of this crossing. Ooh. Standard consist on number 5. Thank you, A-Train. So that settles it. We will skip Amtrak for today. Really appreciate all you guys giving me the heads up. It's really allowed me to have a pretty nice stream for tonight. Now, it's the end of April, so the crops will be going in pretty soon. Now, when there's corn out here, you will not be able to get the view of the trains back here. A lot of times when I'm at this crossing, especially when I'm getting Amtrak, I will stand back a ways so you can really see the whole train fill up this scene and then pan as you go by. It's a really dramatic scene. And sometimes I go up right next to the crossing like I just did for kind of more of an in-your-face shot. Okay, we're going to bring the camera back in here. And we're gonna go kind of sideways here, so I apologize. Yeah, I know the orientation is locked. YouTube's letting me know that I can't turn the camera while I'm doing a live stream. It's okay. Camera off of our back on here. And back with the power cord. Speaking of power, my scanner battery is going dead. I'll replace him really quick. We'll leave the live stream going as we head back into Ottumwa. We have seen 3 trains, which seems like kind of a measly number, but it's actually a lot more trains than we have seen in the past. Kind of a record, I suppose, for my live streams. 3 trains in one live stream. Believe it or not, believe it or not, we have been recording now for 2.5 hours. So, do the math, 3 trains in 2.5 hours, that's, well, it's about a train every 45 minutes.
I understand, yeah, that makes sense to me. I was just trying, I'm still learning the depth, so I'm trying to make sure I didn't put the run times, but yeah, just wondering, so there's 140, that makes sense. I'll get started for you.
So we're gonna head back into Ottumwa right now. Where we are right now, for those of you just joining the stream, we have seen 3 trains today. Yes, just got a comment about the math that I just did. So a train every 45 minutes would be yep, a train is correct. I'm pretty sure that was indeed the Des Moines train that we were hearing, because they were talking about doing some switching in Des Moines. So for those just joining us, we are getting on Highway 34 to head back into Ottumwa. We are actually several miles east of Ottumwa. We're actually on the other side of Agency, Iowa. Heading back to Ottumwa. We have seen 3 trains today. Give you kind of a summary of what we've seen in the event that it is all of what we see, which it might be, but like I've done in the past, I usually leave the live stream going until we get back to town, just in case, you know, something else were to happen. We're not going to miss it. Now, the first train that we saw was actually the second half of CPKC train 260. We got to see that at the Gateway Drive crossing on the CP in Ottumwa. After that was an empty BNSF sweet feed train, which I never really elaborated about. Those trains are feed trains that run between Eddyville, where the feed is produced. It's called Sweet Brand. And it's loaded up into BNSF trains with special hopper cars with a vinyl, like a cloth canopy over the hopper cars. They're actually old coal cars that have been repurposed into cars to haul this Sweet Brand feed. And it's very sweet feed. That's why I call it a sweet feed train. It is a very sweet food that cattle really like to eat, and it helps them. It helps fatten them up to get prepared to go to market. And it is produced by Cargill in Eddyville and a few other locations too. But Eddyville is one of the major plants where they make this food for cows. The trains run from here down to giant, and I mean giant, feedlots in the Texas Panhandle. I'm pretty sure there are 2 of them. And one of them is in Dalhart, Texas. There's another one, I feel like I know the name of this other town. I can't think of it right now, but there are 2 very big Texas feedlots that the sweet feed trains go to. And so that train was empty that we saw go through. That was our second train going back to Eddyville. Our third train was actually a second run of the first train that we saw, and we got to see it go by in its entirety at this point. At milepost 305 on the CPKC Laredo Subdivision was train 260 once again with a pretty neat lash up. CP ES44AC, then a Kansas City Southern ES44AC, and then a Union Pacific ES44AC. if you noticed, it was a Union Pacific engine that did not have the flag on the side, and it was not the new paint scheme. It was an older variant of the flagless UP paint scheme that they've applied to some repaints. So for those of you that have been in this for the long haul, it's been kind of an interesting stream. We've gotten some good action. Kind of had to go in and out of Ottumwa. So after we got CPKC train 260 at milepost 305, there was a westbound train on the BNSF that I wanted to get, but I thought by seeing 260 that I would miss it going through Ottumwa. So I decided to go west and maybe get it west of Ottumwa on their line. Then the fuel light came on the car, so I'm like, well, better turn around and get some gas. So that's what I did. Once I got gas, I got word that there was an eastbound train going through Ottumwa. And at that point, it's like, well, let's get that train instead. And the westbound train was still in Ottumwa at that point. As it turns out, it was a good thing I got this eastbound train, because it turned out to be better. It was the LINGAL BNSF manifest. And we drove all the way out to the east side of the Eldon Y, which was actually closer to being west of Batavia, Iowa on the BNSF, to see LINGAL go by. That's the last train we got. It could very well be the last train of the stream. But as always, we'll keep it going until we get back into town, just to make sure we haven't missed anything, and then we'll go from there. So this is how it is watching trains a lot in this area. Sometimes you have to go where the trains are, and sometimes the trains will all come at once, and you have to decide which one you want to get. Had I got the CPKC train coming in, I wouldn't have had to leave Ottumwa for any of the action at all that we saw today. But if nothing else, at least we didn't have to stay at one point for too long. This is a pretty long live stream, a lot longer than my others that I've done so far. Ideally, I like to keep them a little shorter than this, but I'm glad we got to see a few trains. Just got a notification on my phone that the Marlins just beat the Cubs. It was unfortunate. I am a Cubs fan, so I mean it's too bad. They lost yesterday too. I wanted to be at home and watch the games. It was actually on TV. One of the few Cubs games that's actually on TV anymore, if you don't get their marquee network, but trains dictated otherwise. I was doing other things this morning, so I didn't think that I'd be out this late, but they ended up losing, so oh well.
I'm sorry, do what over? Oh, okay. Let me get a roll of them.
You know, it sounds like there might be something going on in the CPKC. You know, the crazy thing is, it's almost Amtrak time. I mean, it's kind of silly not to get them at this point, but been on for a while. But it is the standard Amtrak train, so I mean, I've gotten them quite a few times. I mean, you got to do stuff, some different stuff in the live streams from now time to time.
951 south, complete for milepost 329, MP 329, ESC 77 main track, track 4 1019 to 1824, 1824 MKR, is that correct? Over?
We're coming back into Ottumwa now.
Yeah, that is correct. Thank you. Over. Alright, TV girl over to SNS 9844. NS 9844, responding over, ready to copy. I can only get you 329. I know you won't need the 330, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. 329 work for you? That will work over.
Well, this is interesting.
Good, I'm glad. Alright, energy track 1, 1020, 1020. April 29, 29, 2023, 2023. The work NS 9844, 9844, and it's M1. Checkbox 4, FOUR, work between south, SEUTH, yard limit at Ottumwa. M outpost 329, MP 329, Kansas City, Ottumwa 7 on main track. Track 4, 1021, check 4, MKR, over.
Yeah, this is interesting. Huh.
1021, check 4, OK, 1826, 1826, MKR, over. Alright, 1020, 1 line check, line number 4, OK, that 1826, 1826, MKR, number copy by her. That is correct. You guys just coming back late when you drop off. I'm correct, drop the car, back like out. Alright, thank you. I'll give you 450.
Well, now this is an interesting turn of events. Good grief. The rain, the wet pavement, and the sun is glinting off the wet pavement. It's like pavement is like brighter than the surface of God. Jeez. Yeah, that's better. Now we
Yeah. Going up. Yes, we got
Okay, we are back in town now, and there is a, from what I can gather, a CPKC local, which is probably K82, that is leaving town with a Norfolk Southern locomotive. And it's interesting because I backed up the cameras this morning just to see what was going on in the CPKC, because tonight I heard a train come into town with a K5LA horn, and the only trains that blow their horns in Ottumwa anymore now are trains on the CPKC. So I was just curious to see what that train was, and I backed up the rail cam, and it was a Norfolk Southern engine going down the hill light without any cars. That's interesting. So to answer A-Train's question from a few minutes ago, I guess the local is indeed using a Norfolk Southern locomotive. Now, I'm going to try, emphasis on the word try, because we all know what happens when I fail, but I'm going to try and get a picture of this train leaving. Might not be successful, so my apologies if I'm not, but I'm not going to go zooming out of town this time. Because we already did that, and we saw how productive I was in doing that. If I had just stuck in town, I wouldn't have had to zoom around. So, but this is interesting, so if I can get it, we'll get it, and if not, well, we tried. But I have been on the air now we are approaching 3 hours. So, I mean, this has been a very long stream and a fairly successful one. So even if we don't get this last movement, it's okay. We've got quite a bit of action, not just trains, but also a lot of driving and a quick pit stop to the gas station even. So, I mean, it's been an eventful day, and I thank you all for joining me, but don't leave just yet, because we have possibly some more action here coming up. So, and as I say that, 3 of you are gone. Well, that's okay. But if you guys ever miss any of these live streams that I do live, go ahead and go back and watch the replays. They are all kept on YouTube, and I go back and put in timestamps and descriptions of the different trains. If you want to jump through and just watch the highlights, I mean, by all means. If you missed anything in the live stream so far, I'm pretty sure you can back it up and watch what went on before. All right, stay green, light. Thank you. Here we go. Now, once again, we are heading west. On Highway 34, yet again, we are hoping to get one more train, which is a CPKC local. They just got a warrant to leave town. Not sure if they have actually left yet. That's a good sign. That's probably them toning up. Either that or it's that loaded coal train. But we're not going to worry about getting that one. If we don't get this train, that'll be it for the day. Because we've been on the air almost 3 hours now. It's been a big live stream today. Did not anticipate it being this large, but hey. Now the local has not announced that they have left town yet, so that's a good sign. One thing that the CPKC does, and predecessor CP, it's odd to say predecessor, but they used to do on the CP, is that they announce over the radio that they are leaving the yard limits and that what the next restrictions are up the line and things like that. Pretty sure other railroads follow that practice as well, but CP has been one of them that has done this. We have not heard them announce that they have left, so they might still be in here. I hope they are. So we've got this coal train blocking our view. And whether they're actually ready to go yet or not, I mean, we'll just have to see. I don't see anything. They've already gone by or what?
TV driver goes roughly, Joe. I already have your show. You got operating to laptop.
Yep, that's how we're ready. Copy, over.
Okay, so that that train has indeed going north. Oh, there they are. Okay. Now, here we go. They are indeed using a Norfolk Southern locomotive. Now, we're going to go back to a potential dead zone location, but it worked well last time, so we're going to go back there again. However, this train is a lot shorter, so it's going to get there quicker. So it might mean that we don't have a lot of time to get ready, so we're going to make a beeline and hope that we get there in time. And as you can hear, the northbound coal train on the CPKC is getting ready to leave town as well. So, I mean, if I had started this live stream a little later, I would have gotten a lot more action. But that's okay. We're going to get 4 trains out of today. So, I mean, that's the most that I've ever gotten in a live stream. So, okay, we're going to head out to
by Rock Island. Not so far. That's worth it. Up is right.
I do not. At 2
on the way back.
Now, I apologize for a moment here. We are probably going to go out of range of a signal, but it's going to be brief. Whoa, I did that last time. We're going to possibly lose the signal through here momentarily, so I apologize for that. And it's probably going to be kind of bumpy as well, so just bear with me. Here we come down the hill to Bidwell, coming in a little more hot than we did the other day because we have got a train coming pretty fast, so hopefully we can get down here and get set up before they show up. And in the interest of time, we are going to stop here and just get out. Sounds pretty quiet, so it out to be really nice this evening. Now, last time I was down here, the picture was kind of grainy. Hopefully, it's not that bad right now. If anybody can fill me in on how the picture looks. Excuse me, one moment here. Looks good, Bobby. Thanks. All right. We're going to head out here to, let's see, where the shadows are going to be here. This is, we're back at milepost 308, which was the exact place where we were last time during the stream. We're going to go back to the other side. It's going to be a good location to get this train at. Right here. All right, so we're gonna lift things up here really quick and get ready for our, most assuredly, the last train of the live stream for today. Wow. I didn't even get the tripod completely set up. And here it came. And when something like that happens, you just kind of have to go with it. And if you're in the process of setting up your tripod like I was, you just pretty much just freeze where you are and get the train, get the shot. It is more important to get the shot than to try and finish setting up your tripod. It's better to get a little wobble in your video than to completely miss the train because you're too concerned about getting your gear set up. There have been many instances over the years where I've had to abandon setting up my tripod to get a shot. And sometimes that bothers me because I knew I'd get a better shot if I had the tripod set up. But on the other hand, I would have missed the train completely had I tried to get up the tripod. So yeah, that was almost instantaneous. If we were held up just a minute, we would have missed that train. And I knew that it was going to show up fast because the local trains are very short, so they can cover ground a lot quicker. Even though they can only go just as fast as the bigger freight trains. They can't go any faster. They speed up and slow down much quicker. So it seems, in a way, they're actually faster, even though they're going the exact same track speed. So that was it. That was CPKC train K82, most likely, heading by milepost 308 here outside of Bidwell. Well, A train is going to go catch Amtrak number 5. Get a good shot. We're going to go ahead once we get back to the car. In fact, we might actually end it out here. We are getting ready to end today's live stream. We have been on for a solid 3 hours. It's incredible, but we've seen 4 trains. We have seen 2 Canadian Pacific trains and 2 BNSF trains. 2 trains on the CPKC and 2 on BNSF. So a very even day on the railroad and a pretty good stream. So thank you everybody for tuning in today. I usually give an update on my videos, my big videos at this time. Not much has really changed. I'm still working on the Old Threshers video. After that, it's going to be Union Pacific Big Boy and then the Iowa Interstate. Let you know how those programs progress. But right now, I've been out for 3 hours. I'm going to get home and make a birthday cake. So thanks everybody for watching. And missed any of the action, just go back and watch it when this goes into archive. And as always, like, subscribe. And I'll let you know when my next stream is, so you can tune in again. So thanks everybody for watching. This is Bobby Harvey outside of Ottumwa, Iowa, signing off for today. It turned out to be a very nice day, very nice evening. Quite a contrast from when we started the stream. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time on Down the Line. So long.